Now, more and more golfers are turning to one of these in 2023 to get their crucial distance information on the golf course. Yes, it's a GPS watch, and the days of simply providing the yardage to the front, middle and back of the green are over. Well, they're not entirely over. All these watches in this test still do that, but they also offer an array of other useful features to help golfers make better decisions and analyse their play, while also making them more suited to use away from the golf course too. In this video, I'm going to run through my top 8 golf watches in 2023 and highlight the pros and cons of each model to help you pick the one that best suits your needs and your budget. So without further ado, let's take a look at the first watch in this test. It's the Garmin Approach S70. Right, I'm going big for the start of this video, straight in with the Garmin Approach S70, which replaces the Approach S62. And this slightly bigger size comes in black only, unfortunately, but what you do get with this watch is a AMOLED touchscreen display. So the display is absolutely fantastic. It's really bright, vibrant, crystal clear, and the level of detail you get is exceptional. It has a much more of a smart watch feel about it, more like an Apple Watch or a smartphone feel about it when you're using it. You know, you've got the front, middle, back, you can click on the hull, get a lot more detail. Zooming in, it'll tell you where your driving distance finishes. You can scroll through the different hazards. It'll give you numbers to reach and carry the hazards, which I think is really useful. You can move the pin position, but there's an awful lot more features that this watch offers versus the competition. So if you pair it with the Garmin app, you get access to things like atmospheric pressure and wind information, and when you factor in the slope functionality as well, it will give you a much more accurate distance versus a lot of golf GPS watches out there. So obviously that functionality isn't legal for competition play. You can disable it if you want to, but this has the capability to go that extra mile to give you even more accurate distances. A whole host of other features, a virtual caddy. If you play enough rounds, it will start recommending clubs for you. You can do your scoring on it, you can measure shots. But I think one of the biggest things that make this watch stand out is its functionality away from the golf course. It has a lot of health and fitness related functions that I found really useful in testing. For example, if you're wearing it overnight, it will track your sleep via your heart rate and your blood O2 levels and give you a recovery score every morning. Mine was 91%, in case you're wondering, so I'm quite happy with that. But the level of different applications to have in terms of fitness exercises and activity is really useful. So you can choose all sorts of activities. It'll even recommend different exercises and workouts based on what you want to do. So if you're looking for a watch to wear on and off the course essentially the whole time, this is a really impressive option. The only thing I don't like about this watch is it comes with a USB-C charger, which luckily I have a MacBook Pro, so I was able to use that adapter for charging this watch, but some people have to invest in a separate adapter to be able to charge this watch. But that aside, this is definitely the one to go for if you're looking for the best display, the best versatility and the best features. The Garmin Approach S70 is really leading the way. Next we have the SkyCaddie LX2. Now, as you can see, this is probably a little bit more basic versus what we saw with the Garmin Approach S70, and it's a much more golf specific watch. But what you do get with SkyCaddie is ground verified, error corrected yardages that are done on foot by SkyCaddie employees. So I do think that adds to the level of accuracy you get, especially when courses are changing layouts of holes and putting bunkers in here and there. You're going to get the most up-to-date information from a SkyCaddie like this. As you know, they do have more advanced feature pack watches like the LX5, but if you're looking for simplicity on a budget, the LX2 is a great option. It gives you front, middle, back distances, it gives you hazard information, but if you want a little bit more from it, like hole maps with a movable pointer and things like that, you have to upgrade to a membership plan, the 360 Pro plan, which does cost around about £40 in the UK per year. So it costs a little bit more to get that information. It probably is worth it, but I think one of the genius elements of this watch is its simplicity. When you're wearing it, you don't really need to touch it at all. You can just keep glancing at it to get the distance information you need. Very quick to update as you're walking along, and just does the job if you're looking for something basic, simple to use, accurate, reliable. The SkyCaddie LX2 is the way to go. Next we have the Bushnell Ion Elite. Now I think this is probably one of the best looking watches. I love the white strap on it, really sporty, really modern. And I also think this is probably the one that's most easy to use and navigate. It's incredibly intuitive. It's just got that one button on the side, and then when you got on the main screen, obviously you've got your front, middle, back distances, and you've got the 4 icons in the corners, and they are pictured to let you know exactly what they are. So you know that's a little mini hole map. You click that and you get the hole maps, and you can scroll through different points of interest to see what lies ahead ahead, and that button, press back and you get back to the main screen. So this is really simple to navigate. You've got your hazard information there if you want to see what hazards are coming up. You've got the flag position there, click that and you can move the pin position to get a more accurate distance to the flag. And then the last one in this corner is your score. So you can enter your score. At the end of each hole you can also tell it if you missed the fairway, left or right, or if you hit the fairway, and that will give you a nice summary at the end about your performance. What you do have the option with this watch is to pair it with the Bushnell app, and you get a little bit more insight into your scoring. You also get some detailed flyovers of the holes and a bit more GPS information on those hole maps if you want a clearer view. The one thing the Ion Elite also offers is the ability to compensate for slope. It's a little bit confusing given there's a few different coloured rings that can appear, but if you read the manual and get your head around what the different colours mean, it's able to compensate for slope and give you even more accurate distances, which I think is a really strong selling point. So that aside, and the fact that the charging element is a little bit fiddly to get right, this Bushnell Ion Elite is definitely up there as one of the best for ease of use, for simplicity, and coming in at £200 I think represents the best value for money given the level of features on offer. Next we have the GolfBuddy Aim W12, which I would class as a golf specific watch. I wouldn't really see myself wearing it away from the course too much given the styling on offer, although it does come with the option of this leather strap, which I do think adds to the appeal somewhat. But in terms of combining simplicity and a decent level of features, this does a really good job. I think the home screen is really good. I think the screen could be a little bit brighter, but the detail is relatively easy to see. You've got the hole information, the front, middle, back, and you can swipe in different directions to access different features. For example, you can access the full hazard list. It doesn't say the distance to reach and carry the hazard, which is a bit frustrating, but you've got that hazard information there if you need it. And if you swipe the other way, you get the hole map. And on the tee, you get an awful lot of different arcs, both off the tee and then coming into the green, which can be confusing, but equally do give you a good guide as to where different distance is off the tee will finish on that hole and what hazards that brings into play. And then when you get to the green, you are able to move the pin position. Also has the ability to compensate for slope as well. The other thing I think I like about this watch is it is waterproof, IXP7 waterproof, so you do get that kind of peace of mind. If you get caught in the shower, this functionality will remain untouched. But I think this watch does the basics really well. I like the little flyover that pops up on the hole when you get to a new tee. That's quite a cool feature. And in the US, you do get heat maps that show the undulations of the greens, which just gives you an extra level of detail. If you're struggling to read the greens, you can take a look at that if you're after a steer as to which way your putt might break on the green. So decent level of features for the price. I think off-course versatility is limited, but if you're looking for a golf specific watch that's not going to bamboozle you with too many features, the GolfBuddy Aim W12 does an excellent job. Next we have the Caddy T9, and this is one of the better looking watches, I would say. It's slightly more compact than the others and has this nice kind of metallic effect bezel around the side, which I think just gives it an edge versus competition. And it has a lot of features as well that I think golfers will really enjoy, aside from the front, middle, back. This is where you can zoom in on a big screen to get those numbers nice and big. You do have hole maps with a movable pointer. They are quite basic versus say like the Garmin Approach S70, but they do a decent enough job. If you tap the bunkers, it'll give you the distances to reach and carry those hazards, which is pretty cool. But what really brings the T9 to life is on the greens. So when you swipe to the left from the hole map, you get to see the green undulations for the hole you're playing. You can move the pin position around if you want to get more accurate distances. And if you swipe again, you're able to kind of plot your position on the green, and it'll tell you exactly how far away it is and also what the up or down undulation is. So if you're struggling to read the green in terms of maybe direction or pace, you get a much clearer steer as to what the slopes in the green are doing versus what you can see. My testing has shown that to be somewhat accurate. There were situations where some of the subtle nuances on the greens weren't factored in, but I think for a general view of the topography, it gives you a really good idea if you're struggling to see it, what the green's going to be doing on those putts. So really cool feature. It does compensate for slope. Not many other watches do. There's a little icon that will appear there if you've employed that. Obviously need to disable it for competitions if you want to. A lot of good functionality specific to golf. It will measure your shots for you. It will give you whole flyovers. So there's a lot to like about this. Whole maps are a bit basic, but I think it looks really good. And for the price, around £300, you get a lot of tech for your money. Next is the ShotScope X5. Now this is a big step up visually from where we were with the ShotScope V3. You can see it's now circular in shape. a little bit more compact, and it definitely has more off-course appeal with that kind of metal effect on the bezel versus the prior generation. Definitely see yourself wearing it down the pub potentially. And as a basic GPS watch, it does a really good job. It gives you front middle back distances. It'll give you distances to reach and carry hazards, which I think is really important. It'll give you layup information as well. And you can move the pin position to give you a more accurate distance. But where this watch sets itself apart from the competition is via its shot tracking capability. So when you screw in the tags that come with it to the tops of your grips, it will mark the shot locations for each club, and that will appear in the display so you know what club has been tracked and where. And then after you're around, you can sync that up to your app, and it will give you kind of plot your way around the course. You can move the shots around if you need to do some editing. What I would say with that is that the editing process on your phone is quite fiddly. ShotScope recommend you do it on your desktop, and I would definitely agree with that, because on your phone it can be quite difficult to change the positions of shots subtly if you want to get more accurate distances. And the only other thing I didn't really like about the X5 was the touchscreen. I felt like it was a bit too responsive. I was doing kind of swipes when I wasn't supposed to, and I was tapping icons I wasn't supposed to. I think it was a bit fiddly, a bit too many kind of repeat swipes and pressing stuff I didn't want to. So that aside, is a very pleasant watch to use, and I think with the extra capability you get with the shot tracking, I think it adds an awful lot of value to this offering from a ShotScope. So well worth a try if you're into your stats. Next on my list is the TAG Heuer Connected Caliber E4 Golf Edition watch. I don't have it on me today, but I have tested it in the past, and this is by far the most expensive watch in this test, coming in at around about £2,200. So what do you get for your money? Well, you get improved golf functionality, you get an included marker on the strap, and you get automatic shot tracking off the tee, which does work pretty well most of the time. Why it hasn't been transferred to the other clubs in the bag, who knows? But in terms of the hole maps, I think they're really user-friendly. Some of the color coordinating of it is a bit confusing, but the rotating bezel in the top corner is really easy to use. It allows you to scroll through the hole to see what lies ahead, and you can tap the screen to see the different distances to different hazards and things like that. It's very easy to mark the shot locations and the club that you hit from different shots, and as that data accumulates, you get some interesting performance insights from the TAG Heuer watch. I do like the driving zone, which comes via the app that's associated with the watch, that will essentially plot on the hole where your tee shot's finished, what club you hit, and also what score you got from those shots. So essentially you can see what strategy is optimum on every hole. So the more, if you're on your home course and you're accumulating a lot of data, that information is really useful. Even for a watch that comes in at over £2,000, there are some things I don't really like about it. For example, the styling is very golf specific. I don't think you'd see yourself wearing it away from the course too much because of how it looks. And also the setup process is quite laborious. There's a lot of different apps you have to download, a lot of syncing and pairing you have to do to get it fully up and running, which does take a lot of time and was a little bit frustrating. But obviously if you're going to spend that amount of money on a watch, you're probably going to be invested in the setup process and getting the most out of it. And in terms of functionality and features, it's probably up there with the best, probably just falling short slightly of the Garmin. And it certainly offers that premium look and feel you'd expect for a watch that costs that amount of money. So if you're looking for something a bit different that's going to offer excellent golf functionality, the TAG Heuer is definitely one to consider. Now, if you're based in the US and you have an Android phone, you definitely want to be considering the Samsung Galaxy 5 Pro golf watch. It's the last one we're going to talk about in this video, and it probably is one of the better looking watches on test. Has a really smart, versatile design that suits use away from the course as well as on it, and it has some pretty cool functionality as well. It will give you hole maps, it will track each of your shots and which club you hit, so over time it gives you a really good picture about your play and which clubs you might want to use in different shots that you have coming up. The watch will also give you heat maps of the greens that show you the undulations that you're about to face, and there's also a compass feature which shows you the direction of the hole, which the Garmin watch also has as well, and that's really useful when you've got a blind shot, you're not exactly sure where the middle of the green is. So that's a really useful feature, I think, to have. If you have an Android phone and you're in the US, it's definitely well worth considering. So now it's time for me to pick my favourite golf watch of 2023, and it's a pretty easy decision, I have to say, but I have my three favourites here: the ShotScope X5, I think looks great, is very lightweight, and it has that shot tracking capability, which is really seamless. So I think if you're into your stats and you want a little bit more detail on your play, that's going to deliver that while also giving you some pretty decent distance information as well. I think in terms of ease of use, simplicity and level of features, you'll struggle to beat the Bushnell Ion Elite. I love the interface. I think it's really clear, really intuitive. That touchscreen works really well, and it has a lot of features which I like, including the slope functionality. I think the whole maps are really good as well. But the leader, head and shoulders above the rest in terms of the best golf watches in 2023, is the Garmin Approach S70. This watch has it all. It has the best display, I think it has the best level of features, and it has the best off-course functionality as well. If you're into your fitness and monitoring your health, things like that, this watch delivers on that. It'll also give you smartphone notifications as well, so you can stay connected to the outside world on the golf course. But that display, the whole maps, the clarity, the detail is exceptional, and I think if you're looking for the best of the best, the Garmin Approach S70 is comfortably the best golf watch of 2023. So that's all from me. I hope you enjoyed this video from Peterborough Milton Golf Club. I'll see you next time.